All right, let's talk about the gross anatomy of the large intestine. Now, the large intestine is actually shorter than the small intestine, but it's larger across in diameter. So that is why it is called the large intestine, not because it's longer, but because it's wider. Now, remember that the stomach added a ton of fluid secretions to the food that we ate. So if we ate a liter of food, it added 2 to 3 liters of secretions. We got 3 to 4 liters of chyme that entered the small intestine. The small intestine then absorbs the nutrients out of the food and a lot of those secretions. So by the time we get to the ileocecal valve, there's only about 1 liter left. So it's about the same amount that entered the stomach, but it's a very, very different makeup because the nutrients have been removed, a lot of the fluid has been removed. Most of what's left is waste. The job of the large intestine is going to be to get the last nutrients and fluid out of that food and then compact the waste and get it ready for removal from the body. So the cecum is the first little pocket. We already met that with the appendix hanging off of it. That's a different video. The rest of the organ is the colon. And starts with the cleverly named ascending colon that goes up the right side, then the transverse colon goes across, and then the descending colon goes down the left side, and then the sigmoid colon is this little part that does this little S-shaped thing like a sigma. Get it? And then that empties to the rectum, which stores and finishes compacting the feces until it can be gotten rid of, not excreted. There's a word there, at the anus. Now, there are corners here as well. Remember, flexure means corner. These are called the right colic and left colic. Flexure, colic, colon. It's the adjective form of colon. Or this right one is sometimes called the hepatic flexure because it's next to the liver. The left one is called the gastric flexure because it's next to the stomach. The transverse colon is held in place by the transverse mesocolon. You remember that there. The descending colon becomes the sigmoid colon. There's a sigmoid flexure here. And this portion is held in place by this sigmoid mesocolon here. Okay? Now, notice this really weird strand thing that goes along the colon. It looks very different. We don't see that in any other part of the GI tract. This is the reduced longitudinal muscle that we see along the whole GI tract. It's been reduced and narrowed into this little strand called the Taeniae coli. And part of its job is to maintain these little indentations in the colon. Each of these little bunches is called a haustra. Okay, haustri would be plural. So the Taeniae coli is a reduced longitudinal muscle. We still have the full circumferential muscle. So rather than doing churning, the colon, it doesn't need to do that. All the food has been churned already. The colon needs to propel the remaining chyme along, remove the nutrients, and then compact the feces, the waste. So here's all those sections. The cecum here, starting with the ileocecal valve, the appendix hanging down from it, then the ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, sigmoid colon, the rectum and the anus, which will be, we'll talk about those in the next video. The Taeniae coli is this little strand here. There's actually 3 of them. It looks like there's only 2 on this model, 1 on either side, but there's actually 3. And then each of these little bunches or bulges is called a haustra. Next up, we will talk about both the histology of the colon and pathologies, things that can go wrong.